So, hey people, that's the global reading, and I'm really not surprised. How do you say this? Excited for it, right? So this is the global reading 2026. Whenever you freaking find it, let's just see what comes up. I'm a little scared, actually. Oh no, there it is, right? There it is, the good old Two of Cups, making peace, making peace, making peace. Two of Cups, right? Many people interpret the Two of Cups as something like, friendship, and that's not the lovers, right? But they kind of turn it more into friendship or acquaintances and something like that. But for me, that's these are very antagonistic aspects that are two sides of a coin, right? Like fire and water. I don't want to make this about men and women. That's the symbology on this card, sure. But focus more on the fire and the water robe that these people are wearing. Two sides, one coin, so to speak. And there's the Queen of Cups, Queen of Water. So I'm not sure how to read this, but I think if you listen to your heart, if you listen to your emotions, right? What are they telling you? Maybe that making peace is a good idea. And there's this quote or this motto, I would say. Yeah, don't fight the old system, build a new system as best as you can, right? As best as you can. There are aspects, there are aspects worth fighting for. So resistance is not futile and resistance is necessary. But whenever you can, try to build a new system instead of forcing you into fighting the old system, right? Always try to create. When you have a choice between creation and fighting, then you choose creation, right? But we live in interesting times, so the Two of Cups is a challenge right now. It would be nice, peace. That's the goal, right? That's beautiful. That's what we want. There's the Hermit and the Tower. And with the Two of Cups here next to it, I would say you followed your own light. You are defined your own light. You have to know who you are when you're in this relationship or when you make peace with someone, right? Especially with antagonistic tendencies. You have to know who you are, what you stand for, what you want, and what you don't want. So by all means, trust your emotions. How does it feel? If it's not feeling right, don't agree to something that doesn't make sense to you emotionally. And the Tower and the Hermit basically means, it's no longer just you. You needed to, maybe we needed to, as a collective, learn ourselves, get to know ourselves, know thyself. That's the big adventure of the Hermit. Know what you stand for, know what's important for you. And with the Tower, that tells me that this Hermit phase might come to an end. So we know what we're standing for, right? We know what's important for us. We know who we are. We know on which side we are on this Two of Cups thing, right? So now we have to come together and hopefully make peace, right? That's how I read the Hermit and the Tower. So nothing bad here happening to the Hermit, but when you know who you are, when you know your inner light, when you know how you feel, when you know what's important for you, when you know what you want and what you don't want, then you can go to the negotiation table, if that's how you say it. But if you're not sure about what you actually want, then it's not a good idea to go into the Two of Cups, right? So I think it's time. We probably all know what we want. There's the Empress and the Five of Pentacles. That's not what we want, right? We don't want be the outcast. We don't want to be, there's the High Priestess connected to this. There are very strong aspects here with the Hermit and the High Priestess. High Priestess is following your inner light, knowing who you are. High Priestess is all about trusting your intuition, kind of emphasized with the Queen of Cups. I need a little more context for that. Let's just see what comes up. This is a heavy reading, right? But it's a global reading and we live in an interesting time. There's the Death card and there's Temperance. So something ends, that's for sure. Five of Pentacles, the Tower, the Death card, but always combined with very strong... So the Death card, the Tower, and the Five of Pentacles, these are not nice cards. These are, you know, cards that indicate a radical change, a radical transformation. Death, the Tower, you know, this Tower is basically the end of an old system that it was too tight or is too tight, became too tight, it is no longer serving us, right? You know, we live in a world where I think the top 1% own more wealth than 93% of the rest of us. That's the numbers for the United States, as far as I know. But it's pretty much similar in Europe, so I don't think it's much better there, right? So, you know, it doesn't serve the people anymore. It doesn't serve the vast majority of the population anymore. So this system needs to go, right? There's the Tower. The Tower represents a structure that is too narrow. And there's a freaking crown on top that the lightning strikes and the crown and the tower bursts open, right? There's a message here as well. I think you can interpret that maybe by yourself. The Death card, restoring temperance. Okay. Five of Pentacles and the High Priestess. There she is. She wants to come out. The Empress and Justice, that's a good combination. And the Empress and Justice. The Empress is not so much a person, but a principle, and the principle of inner mastership. So all four queens rolled into one, and the queens, of course, standing for inner mastership. Not so much outer representation of that mastership. It's not the emperor. You're not telling people what to do. But you know who you are, what you want, what you don't want. There's the Hermit, which is the sage, which is also inner mastership, exploring your inner light, finding the connection to your inner light. Maybe through a time of, you know, dark night of the soul. Energy is connected to that. Usually, you know, we have to go into the darkness to find our own inner light, to let our own inner light shine and be a guide to us. That's the Hermit, what the Hermit is all about. Empress, inner mastership. All freaking four queens rolled into one. That's the Empress. And then Justice. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So you're coming to this negotiation table, knowing thyself, knowing your inner light, knowing what you stand for, very much attuned and in resonance with your inner light, with your inner guidance. The High Priestess is here. Maybe you developed... There are different story aspects here. So maybe you developed that is mastership as well. That's also inner mastership. Again, you know, knowing yourself, knowing who you are, what you want. And that High Priestess energy, you know, your darkness and your light, both coming together. But it's not just coming to you because you sit there and imagine lights, you know, when you meditate or something like that. That's part of it, but that's the lovey-dovey, beautiful part of it. But usually to cultivate that light, you have to go through some sort of darkness. Why? Because if the external guidance, the external light is subsiding, all you have is your inner light to rely upon. So if you have cultivated, and you totally cultivated that, inner light choose some sort of dark night of the soul, and we have all been going through a collective dark night of the soul. It's been going on for a very long time, not just how long is humanity in darkness, right? You could argue the dark ages are over, right? We're no longer in the medieval time, right? But are we really that much better? We have technology now that is superior to, let's just say, the 1500s or 14, 16, whatever hundreds, to the medieval times. But as a species development, hello, we're still waging stupid wars against each other. We're still living in guilt, fear, shame. We're not owning our shadow aspects as a collective, at least, right? And the Empress does that. The Empress owns her shadow aspect, knows who she is, who you are. It's not about gender. It's not about man or female. It's just more about the intrinsic or the extrinsic, and the Empress represents the mastership over the inner aspects of yourself. The Hermit is the process to find the inner light through some sort of dark night of the soul. The Tower connected to that meant also that you had to leave some sort of security that was limiting, right? And then you went on to your Five of Pentacles, dark night of the soul, and explored that inner intuition, inner light, and ultimately came out of it as, knowing thyself. There's the Death card, restoring balance, temperance. How many cards do we got? Oh, is it already 10? It's already 10. There's the Star card at the bottom of the deck. Okay. So wish fulfilled from the universe. So the story here is that through a very hard time, and let's just say what I always say in 2026, I always remind people about Pluto in Capricorn, which was a very challenging time. And during Pluto in Capricorn, that was pretty much since 2008, financial crisis, and we were kind of trying as a collective to just double down on our efforts and work harder, right? And maybe it's us, and maybe we just have to run faster, and we had to run faster just to keep the relative position in which we were living, right? So this is coming to an end, and the last 9 or 10 years haven't been exactly, that's kind of the narcissistic rule, and where the most shady aspects of humanity came forward and took charge of the world, pretty much. That was our dark night of the soul, and we are entering in 2026 a different phase, that's for sure. But it's not like 2026, and 2025 was the last year of the old system. That's what I always said in the 2025 readings. 2026 is the first year where the frequencies of the new system are stronger than that of the old system, but that doesn't mean that it's like a light switch that darkness, and dark night of the soul is over, click, and there it is, right? A bright new day, brand new day. Unfortunately, that's not how it's going to play out, but the frequencies are there, and if you have cultivated, and we have cultivated as a collective, a lot of inner light through that hard time. Since 2008, Pluto is now in Aquarius, which is all about the Empress, respecting your intuition, respecting your inner light. And with that mastership, restoring temperance. You got the 2 cups here at the Temperance card. We got the 2 cups here at the 2 of Cups, of course. So you know who you are. We know who you are, who we are as humanity, hopefully. And now we can make a truce, make, peace. That's what it's all about. Hopefully this will, manifest itself fairly quickly. That was pretty heavy, you know, Tower, 5 of Pentacles, Death card, but we got something out of it. There's this quote from, I think it was Andrew Abbey. Do I find this? Andrew Abbey. Probably it's not a good idea. There was one Tolstoy quote. In order for the truth to be heard, it must be spoken with love. And the Andrew Abbey quote would kind of undermine that in this reading, at least. So we have all been going through a dark night of the soul, but hopefully we have not sold our soul to the darkness. Hopefully some people have. So, but this is not the channel for these people. This is the channel for empathic people who probably did not buy a new Mercedes in the last few years, right? And it's not about a specific brand. It's what is this? The Magician wants to come out. The Magician wants to come out. Why does the Magician want to come out? Doesn't really fit. Sorry, Magician, you have to go back because I don't know what the fuck you want here. So, this is my reading, right? So, what was I talking about? There's a star card. So, yeah, let's just do the clarifiers. There's the 4 of Cups, and I put the 4 of Cups with the Queen of Cups and the Peace treaty here with the 2 of Cups. You know, it's not a nice time, but it's a time where we have to show up for what we really want, and we have to make a choice. And hopefully you have made a choice for temperance, for inner peace, for upholding your principles, for knowing who you are. This is kind of, I would put this here in the middle because you have to make that choice, and you had to make that choice. Hopefully you chose love. Hopefully there's the Tower again, right? The Tower, clarified by the Tower. Let's just do a few more. There's the Lovers. There's the Lovers. Okay. What is the Lovers all about? Okay, I don't know. Let's just do it to the Empress. There's the 2 of Cups again. And one more. Let's just do this. 8 of, what was this here? Are you kidding me? 5 of Pentacles, clarified by the 5 of Pentacles. The Tower, clarified by the Tower. So the old system needs to go, that's for sure. It's just not serving anybody but the 1%. It needs to change, that's for sure. And you have to make the choice to stand up for that and speak your truth, even as your voice is shaking. And hopefully there is peace and reciprocity restored for all of us. Bottom of the deck, the Star card, clarifier. Bottom of the deck, the 8 of Wands. The Star card is a wish fulfilled from the universe, you know, but when you wish for change, change is not just falling out of the sky, you know. Change is usually, you know, when you give birth to something. I'm a guy, so I don't know how it feels to give birth to something, but I have been told it's quite agonizing, right? But you go through that and you give birth to something new. So this is not exactly a walk in the park. 5 of Pentacles, clarified by the 5 of Pentacles. Tower, clarified by the Tower. So this inner mastership, this knowing who you truly are, where you stand, on which side are you standing here, right? Did you sell your soul or did you not sell your soul? Are you upholding principles, you know? Can you love yourself? The Lovers is here, you know, it's not just about, the Lovers is definitely about, you know, 2 people coming together in love, but you have to love yourself in order to find the right person. And the 2 of Cups, clarifying the Death card, and the Temperance card. So it almost seems as if the Death card is I don't know, the Temperance card and the Two of Cups connected to the Death card. Some collapse, some, I don't know. If you bypass your emotion, your body will express them as symptoms. Well, there's a lot of emotional debris floating around in this time, right? Never forget that if you watch the news and you see, especially in the UK lately, strange people with kind of trash bins wearing trash cans, and there's a narrative connected to that. I'm not going into this, but here's Voltaire again reminding you that those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Know thyself, know what you stand for. Stand ambiguity, right? And standing ambiguity means that if you cannot verify or falsify one narrative, then do not just choose a narrative. If you don't know what is true, if you don't know, this could be true, that could be true, this is suggested to me, this is suggested to me. And if you don't know, if you cannot falsify or verify a story, don't just take a story and run with it, right? Don't just take your chances. Who said that? I'm not sure, but the authoritarian mindset is a mindset that is not able to stand ambiguity. So don't just run with a story. Stand ambiguity. In order to stand ambiguity, Alan Downs, I was asking for it. Learn to stand ambiguity. Embrace ambivalence. Seek out and embrace the omnipresent, competing feelings about all things in life. Alan Downs, The Velvet Rage. That's a great book. Learn to stand ambiguity. There are a few principles in that book that they are very interesting and helpful. One is to stand ambiguity. And I forgot who said it, but there's this idea that a totalitarian mind or totalitarian consciousness is unable to stand ambiguity. So standing ambiguity is very important. If you just don't know, don't just take one story that feels either good or that you're afraid of, that makes you scared. So you're running with that story. Don't. That's how intimidation works, basically. What else we got? Be human, be enough, be grateful, be blessed. Okay. It's kind of a little challenging in these days, right? But here we are. Archangel Michael, nice to see him around. And I'm going to read this because it's so nice. Whether you believe in that or not, I'm just reading this to you. Eternal love and protection. I'm always with you, and in this moment I embrace you with my protective blue light. I loved you from the dawn of time and will continue to love you forevermore. My love is eternal. It never changes, for we are timeless souls. Together we have journeyed through ages. We have been the light of the sun and the grass of the fields. Millions of earth years have passed, and yet here we are. The same light still glows in our hearts, and the same grass carpets the fields with green. You have lived countless lives, and I'm always with you. Yeah, that's the pantheistic approach to an understanding of the divine, basically. So nothing is lost, nothing is wasted, right? Everything is, in a way, unfolding as it should, which is kind of a naturalistic fallacy, but, que sera, sera. It just is what it is. The important thing is what we make of it and how we change, how we deal with the situation at hand. And I strongly hope that you did not just run with a cock and bull story that you neither could verify or falsify, that you're not living in guilt, fear, shame, even if all the frequencies are trying to push us into guilt, fear, shame, and hatred, and projection, and, you know, fighting and things like that. If you uphold your inner light, if you uphold your inner frequency, if you care about your inner peace, your inner temperance, your inner mastership as best as you can, if you trust your feelings, the best thing you can do is meditation and breath work. If you stabilize yourself, if you stabilize your consciousness, you are helping the collective of decent human beings to do the same, because, you know, you connect to their frequency and you strengthen that frequency. True meditation and breath work, that's super important. Do that, and yeah, be peace, which is hard to do in times of war, I guess. But, you know, whenever you can, try not to fight the old system, but build a new system. Build a new system within yourself, even if you are forced to fight the old system. Which is quite a stretch to say, I know. Be human, be enough, be grateful, be blessed. Learn to stand ambiguity. Don't get irritated by strange stories and suggestions and guilt, fear, shame stories. These are all designed to disempower you and lower your frequency. Make it a daily freaking practice to raise your frequency. Breathwork and meditation, even if it's just 5 minutes. Even if it's just 1 minute, right? If you're in a really stressful situation, 1 minute of that can make a difference. Just breathe in 1, breathe out 2. The out breath 2 times that of the in breath. You release the negativity. If you can do that for 5 minutes, if you can do that for an hour if you need it, perfect. If you can combine that same time with meditation, first you do breath work, releasing negativity, then you stabilize your inner light and your inner peace. And there is a way of fighting without falling into hatred. That's very important. You can fight and do the right thing, even if you struggle, without falling into hatred, which is not easy to do, but it's to even try it. Meditation and breathwork is super helpful. So what is this all about? We've been going through pretty dark times since 2008, and it's always darkest before the dawn. Yeah, you know. And there's a dawn here, and the dawn is the light within you, and there is a peace here. 2 of Cups, 2 times the 2 of Cups, true temperance and inner mastership. And that's all I got. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. There's a yearly reading for the Global Collective. There's a summer reading for the Global Collective. Check that out. If you want to see your personal chart or your birth chart, right? Check out your sun, moon, and rising signs if you want a broader picture. And hopefully see you next time. Now, goodbye, my friend. Ciao.